Hello, my name is Masha and welcome to another Not With Me. If you're new here, and Not With Me is simply a video in which I am making a bracelet, in this case a wall hanging. I record the entire process, I speed it up into a time lapse, and I talk to you. This is not a tutorial, but if you want a tutorial, I have plenty of those available. What I'm making here is called a wall hanging that is made of an alpha bracelet. It's an alpha pattern. So if you want to learn how to make this, I recommend watching my flat alpha technique video, in which I explain exactly how to do this. But here today, we're just here to chat. So this is my first wall hanging in a really long time. I was making my video for the bracelet collection, and I was going through all of my favourite bracelets. I made several bracelet collection videos with my most nostalgic bracelets, my favourite bracelets of all time, etc. I'll leave those videos linked in the description if you want to watch them. There's quite a few really good ones in there. But as I was looking through it, I saw that there were quite a few wall hangings, and I realised I haven't actually made one in so long, and a lot of those wall hangings actually made it into my favourite bracelets of all time, and so I, decided it was time. The reason I don't really make wall hangings that often is because, as you can imagine, they take a while. Alpha bracelets in general take longer, at least for me, than normal patterns do. I feel like with normal patterns, usually first of all, they're less wide. I think with alphas, you kind of require a little bit more width for the design to show through, because it's essentially pixel art, right? The patterns, alpha patterns, are essentially pixel art. So the more pixels there are, the more knots there are, the more you have to work with, and the more kind of variation you can introduce in designs. So, if you have a bracelet that's 10 strings wide, so 10 base strings, you can only really do so much. But if you have a bracelet that's, I don't know, I think this one was like 30 or maybe even 50. I'll have a look at the pattern later. The pattern's also linked in the description if you want it. But obviously the wider the bracelet, the more variation you can introduce. So alpha bracelets tend to just take more time because they are bigger, but then also I feel like because normal patterns are made with kind of diagonally shaped rows, and also you don't have to change the strings, you kind of weave all of the strings together. It takes less time, whereas here the rows are horizontal, all of the knots are kind of packed together. And when I say diagonal, I mean, for example, in a normal pattern, if you look at the rows horizontally, they interchange. In row 1 there will be like 5 knots, and then in row 2 there will only be 3. In row 3 there's 5 again, and then 3 again, and they kind of alternate because they are essentially made in this kind of bricklaying technique, right, where you have like 2 knots, and then in the next row there's a knot in between the 2 knots. If that made no sense at all and you want to learn more, in my normal pattern video where I explain how to read normal patterns, I literally bring out Lego bricks as an analogy to explain this concept in more detail. So if you want to learn more about that, I'll leave that linked as well. But the point is, you kind of require less knots to make it, whereas with an alpha, you just need more. And then the switching of the colors also introduces an extra element to it. It really does take some time to switch, especially when the strings run out. You have to like tie in new strings, cut out the previous strings. There's a lot of kind of maintenance that happens in the backs of any kind of alpha design. So all that to say, it takes longer. It takes quite longer to make alpha bracelets, which is why I don't do them that often. But when I do make them, I really enjoy them, and this was a really fun pattern to make. I've been eyeing this pattern for quite a while. It's been in my to-dos for a long time, and I think I got inspired to finally make it because I saw someone else make it as I was scrolling Bracelet Book. That's actually a top tip from me. I mean, I'm sure you guys do this already, but I find new patterns to make in several different ways. First of all, like on Bracelet Book, obviously you can just filter by patterns with the most loves, as in like, most favorited. You can filter by patterns with the most photos, which means that a lot of people have made them, and so obviously it's a popular pattern people enjoy. You can filter by, the size of the bracelet that you want to make, the type of the bracelet that you want to make. You can filter by keywords, so say you want to make something summery, sometimes I search by summer, but I've been making bracelets for so long that all of those methods I feel like I have just completely exhausted, and I've made all of the top bracelets in all of the different categories that I've ever been interested in. So another way that I I do it is, first of all, obviously, I sometimes do videos in which I raid your to-dos. So sometimes, occasionally, I'll leave a couple linked in the description if you want to watch them, but occasionally I'll make like a forum post on Bracelet Book, and I'll be like, hey, please leave a comment if you want me to raid your to-dos, and then I just go through all of the people, well, some of the people that have commented, and I, look at their to-dos, and I save them, and I find that to be a good way to do it. Also, I have, like, my favorite pattern creators. There's a few, like, really active people that make patterns, and, there's a lot of patterns that I like by these people, so sometimes I just go scroll through there. But a really great way that I've also been implementing is looking through the recent photos. So I literally just open the photos section, I scroll, depending on what I'm in the mood for. You can also filter there. You can filter, first of all, also by size, all of the different ways. So if you want to make like a bigger pattern, then you can filter by that. If you want to make a smaller pattern, you can filter by that. Normals and alphas, etc., you can filter there. And I was in the mood to make an alpha, so I filtered by alpha here, but also occasionally I do this for normals. And I just look at all of the different bracelets that people have recently created, because I find that it's also an interesting way to kind of broaden your horizons a little bit and make things that you wouldn't normally make, because occasionally you see a really cool bracelet and you're like, wow, I really want to make this, and then you click the pattern and you look at it and the pattern doesn't look like anything special at all, and it is actually all about the colors that this person has used, or maybe they use like a special multicolored string or a sparkly string, or maybe they just made it like with some kind of special start or technique or something to kind of make it stand out and make it unique. And just by looking at the pattern, like, that wouldn't have clicked for me, and I wouldn't have looked twice at the pattern, but the actual bracelet had made me stop and look at it. And that happens a lot more frequently than you'd think. There's actually a couple of bracelets that I'm working on right now that I found this way, and the pattern wasn't anything special to me. So this is also what I was doing when I stumbled across a photo for this pattern. I think that is how I started. I mean, to be fair, I recorded the actual video for this quite a while ago, so I don't remember, but I think that's how I stumbled upon the pattern again, and I was like, hey, do you know what, this has been in my to-dos for forever, I should actually make it. So here we are. And actually, as I was talking, we witnessed me make a mistake. At the very beginning of this house, there is a chimney at the start, and the chimney is white, and then the kind of the place that I'm making here is kind of in the shadow, and while it's still the same white colour of the house, because it's in the shadow, I used a grey string, but that first knot that I made was actually made in white still. I did not switch to grey in time, and then I realised after the fact, and my two options were leave it, which is what I obviously ended up doing, or untying an entire like row and a half, and I really, really did not want to do that, because untying bracelets in general, I just really dislike doing it. It takes so long and it's so fiddly and so annoying. I swear it takes like twice the amount of time to untie something that it takes to actually just tie it. But then also, an alpha bracelet specifically, because like all of the switching of the strings, there's like, you untie half of the knot and then there's a string poking out of it, because that's how you switch strings. You kind of weave them through the next knot. It's a whole thing, and I really dislike doing it, so I was just like, I'll leave it. I considered going over it with like a Sharpie or something, but I just left it in the end. Well, I couldn't really find a matching colour, first of all. I thought that it would end up looking even worse if I did that. But then also I figured it wasn't really that big of a deal, so I left it. But all of that being said, I did really enjoy making this wall hanging. It was really, really fun. It actually has a kind of a sad ending, I'm not gonna lie. So what ended up happening was I made this wall hanging quite a while ago, and then I went to Florida to visit my family. And, I was just hanging out there, and I made a video where I made bracelets for my family. And I'll leave that video linked as well. It's one of my favourite videos I've made really ever, just because it's, so wholesome and special to me, because it's got all my favourite family members in it. But I had my family members sat down and kind of look through patterns and try to select which patterns they wanted. And this pattern was still in my to-dos, because I started, I wanted them to look through my to-dos first. And my grandma saw it and she really wanted it. and I told her that, you know what, I actually already made this. I don't need to make another one for you. I already made this. Let me just send it to you in the mail, because, you know, I've already done that. And so she selected a different pattern. I made a different pattern for her. I didn't end up finishing that pattern in time while I was in Florida, so I had to take it back to London with me, finish it in London, and then I sent her a package with the bracelet that I ended up making for her, plus this wall hanging. And the wall hanging did not arrive. The bracelet did, the wall hanging didn't, which was really interesting. And then we realized after the fact that it was because I was stupid. I should have known, to be honest. I don't know why it did not click for me. You're not supposed to send these things in letters, which is what I did. Like, I got a card for her and I wrote like a nice thank you note, and I put the bracelet and the wall hanging kind of inside the card. It fit into the envelope fine. It fit kind of, you know, there's a kind of like little thickness tester thing to see if it is too thick, and it fit through there fine, but you're not supposed to do that. Letters are for letters, right? And I don't know, I just didn't even think about that because it didn't occur to me. I now know that you're not supposed to do that. But yeah, basically the bracelet was fine because it's thread. I don't know, I guess maybe the mailman was like nice to us and let us keep the bracelet, but because the wall hanging had like a wooden dowel in it, that was not allowed. So the letter ended up kind of arriving opened, and this was taken out of it. So as pretty as it is, it only exists in my memory and on this video, so I hope you enjoy it. I have no idea where it is now. My grandma was actually kind of disappointed, but I'll make her another one. And she did enjoy the bracelet that I did end up sending her, so that was really good. But yeah, no, this was really fun to make despite that sad ending. I actually still really enjoyed the process, and it is a gorgeous wall hanging. So it'll exist in my memory as a really fun time I had making it. So there you have it. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I want to give a special shout out to my members and especially my top supporters. It is with their support that I'm able to create videos on this channel. If you want to support this channel and the work that I do here, becoming a member is the best way to do that and the best way to get exclusive perks like early access to videos, extra videos just for members, and a whole bunch of other perks as well. Click the join button to join the channel and become a member. My book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, is also now out anywhere you want to buy books in the world, and there's also a direct link in the description if you want to use that. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!